fulfill their desires, set to waste of existence. Spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires, set to waste of existence. Waste of existence.
The sun is shining and the anxious earth is rising. Anxious earth is rising. I'm so happy.
Spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires, set to waste of existence.
Hey, double triple channel here. Get rid of that echo. This is Ron in New Hampshire. I live in rural New Hampshire, surrounded by forests and wild animals. And I like to stream a lot of different stuff. Today I'm going to be talking about the news or about international relations, about Ukraine. The title of this stream is about Ukraine, and I thought it was necessary to say something here because of what's going on. And I wanted to give a little background because I'm sure a lot of people are not familiar with what's going on or don't know the history. And, I don't know a lot of it either, so it's part of it is for me to try to learn too. So feel free, if you have something to say, please go ahead and type it in the chat. If you're watching this on like on YouTube or something like that, or on a video pod somewhere, this is a live broadcast on Twitch, and so it's not like a carefully edited video or anything like that. It's just a live thing where I'm just talking, streaming on Twitch. So feel free to, if you're watching this on a recorded video, just go ahead and fast forward to whatever spot you want. And sometimes I take a video and edit it down and post it as a regular video, so maybe I'll do that at some point. I'm not sure. I want to check and see if my audio is in sync here really quick. Let me just check this. Oh, it seems like it's in. Yeah, that's pretty close, isn't it? That seems like it's in sync. Yeah, sometimes I have technical issues here when I'm trying to get this stream going. All right. So yeah, there was a thing happened. There was a meeting. Ukraine. Maybe I should pull up a map, huh? I should do that. There was a meeting between the U.S. president and the president of Ukraine, and Ukraine is at war with Russia. And I'm going to see if I could bring up a map so we can show you what we're talking about here. I should have loaded this up earlier here. I've got a world map in here somewhere. There we go. Oh, that's not a very good one. All right, I'll just I don't know if this is good or not. But I'll put it up here. If this doesn't work, then we'll do another one. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. All right, so there's a map of the world, apparently, as we know it. All right, so let me see if I can just see how big this is. This thing will actually zoom in or not. Okay, yeah, it zoomed in. Okay, good. I can show you at least what we're looking at here, right? Just from Ukraine. You probably hear that in the news, all these things that are going on in these places, faraway places that you don't know about and don't care about, but this is kind of important. So, all right, so we've got. Oh, that's all. That's we'll zoom in. That's kind of a shitty image, isn't it? Anyway, here's Ukraine, and this is Russia right above them, and this used to be since the 20s, I guess. It was the Soviet Union. All these were together, and then around 1990, 89 through 91, the Soviet Union split up, and these all became separate countries. So, if this is the country we're talking about here, Ukraine. I'm going to see if I can find a better map. Let's see, large world map. Blue oceans. Let's see what that is. That is a little bit better, I think. Get that. Take a second here. There we go. Does that work? Yeah, there we go. All right, so I can't see it myself though. Everybody can see it. Okay. All right, so yeah, here's Ukraine. Let me zoom in again. All right, so there's Russia, and I guess Russia spans a whole bunch of time zones. They're big. They look bigger than they are because of the map projection. They're not that big. And there's U.S. right. So this is Ukraine, and this little part of Ukraine here is called Crimea. That's part of Ukraine, and then Poland and all the rest of Europe, or Belarus rather, and the rest of Europe, and then that's Moldova. And so what? Back in the 20s, big revolution, right? And the communists took over several places, and Russia and Ukraine and other places created the Soviet Union. So Ukraine was a founding member of the Soviet Union, along with Russia and a couple others. And and the Soviet Union kept growing. They kept adding and adding. They were acquisitive. They tried to acquire a lot of different stuff. Keep adding more and more of these countries to the Soviet Union. And shortly after the Soviet Union was formed, Ukraine is more south here, see, than a lot of Russia, and they've got good climate for growing stuff. So they're kind of, people refer to them as a breadbasket or whatever. A lot of food is grown in Ukraine. But when the communists took over, they wanted to do their communist thing and do everything collective, and they just screwed it all up. And there was a big famine. A lot of Ukrainians died. 1 million, I think it was. Huge number of Ukrainians died. And it was all messed up. So Ukraine didn't like the Russians because of that. A lot of them. And it's kind of, over time, it's more in the east is more towards Russia, and the west is more towards the west, Western Europe. But then during World War II, Germany, they went crazy, right? We had a big war, right? World War II, and the Nazis just were invading everything. They invaded Poland, they invaded France. They tried to get into UK. I mean, they were all over the place. They got into Ukraine, but also there had been conflict between Ukraine and the Soviet Union. So the Soviets were occupying Ukraine too. I mean, it started out as like they were going to be in this Soviet Union, right? Big club, right? But the Ukrainians always got screwed by Moscow, and so it didn't work out too well for them. And they were kind of halfway independent anyway. When they formed the Soviet Union, Soviet Union didn't want to lose a lot of votes in the UN. Well, it wasn't at that time, but anyway, Ukraine was kind of independent. They had a separate vote in a lot of different ways and stuff like that. So they were kind of independent as well as being part of the Soviet Union. So, and so so the Nazis went into Poland and all over the place. They went into Ukraine too. So Ukraine was occupied both the Soviets and the Nazis during World War II. And of course, Russia was not part of the Allies, right? They were on our side during World War II, at least for that military conflict. And the Nazis lost, and during that whole thing, there was a big resistance movement that developed mostly in the west of Ukraine, and that resistance movement was against the Nazis and the Soviet Union. The Nazis were, they were assholes. They did horrible things, and they killed thousands and thousands of Jews in Ukraine. Ukraine had a much larger Jewish population, and when the Nazis came in, they just killed thousands and thousands of Jews in Ukraine. So it was, and the weird thing is when Ukraine and Soviet Union were, a lot of people in Ukraine didn't like the Soviet Union, didn't like Moscow, and didn't like the Soviets, because of the way they were being treated in that deal. And when the Germans came in, there were a lot of people in Ukraine that were thinking, oh, okay, the Germans are going to come and help set us free from the Soviet Union, And it was terrible. The Germans came in there, and I'm sure they just put out some propaganda or whatever. I don't know the details, but I'm sure that's what happened. They probably put out propaganda to make people think that they were going to be liberators, to liberate Ukraine from Soviet Union. Once they got in there, they just killed a bunch of people and did horrible, horrible things. So that was World War II. After World War II, we won World War II, and Soviet Union and U.S. were not close anyway, right? Because they're communist, right? And U.S. anti-communist. So after the war, the Russians and the U.S. were fighting on the same side during the war against the Germans, the Japanese, and everything. And after the war was done, then right away, U.S. and Russia were kind of like Russians scrambling to get the spoils, right? To try to occupy or get control of whatever, as much territory as possible. And so Ukraine ended up still part of the Soviet Union then. But Stalin was, anyway. It was not good for Ukraine. Ukraine has suffered over and over and over and over, with the famine they had and what the Soviets have done to them, what Nazis did to them, and they're fed up, And during the Cold War, it was the U.S. versus the Soviet Union. That was the Cold War, the two big powers. China was still kind of developing at that time. And so it was the U.S. and the Soviet Union. They had a big arms race. I'm sure you heard about the Cold War, right? Between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. And, that went on. It was basically the way that kind of worked out is that a lot of spying going on between the Russians and the U.S., spying on each other. And no real direct conflict between the two countries, but they would have proxy wars. So in South America and Central South America and other parts of the world, they would, the Soviets would back one side and the U.S. would back another side in civil wars all over the place, and that was basically how that worked out as the Cold War. But the Ukraine was, during that time, Ukraine was really productive. They really became productive, not just agricultural, but technology and everything. And a lot of arms were manufactured in Ukraine. They had missiles there, nuclear missiles and everything, pointed at the U.S. or pointed at Europe or whatever. So it was they were pretty powerful economically, but politically it was Moscow, so it was kind of, and the people didn't like that, right? They don't like that. They didn't like that they were busting their ass and doing all this great stuff, and Moscow kept, being mean to them. They didn't like that. So finally, at the end of the 80s, they kept having more and more and more corruption in the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union finally collapsed just under their own weight, just from their own corruption and stuff. And when that happened, all these, Kazakhstan and Ukraine and all these different former parts of the Soviet Union broke off and declared independence on their own, and that's what Ukraine did. So in '91, I think it was, they started their own deal. They became independent. But even though they did that, it was still very much. I mean, they were, kind of, even though they were independent, an independent country, they still had ties to Russia, right? And there were a lot of ethnic Russians in Ukraine, especially in the east. So that's kind of setting up what happened, right? And so they broke away from the Soviet Union, and after the Soviet Union broke up, let me see if I can find some pictures here. So there's, after the Soviet Union broke up, and the Ukraine was on its own, they had some leaders that were not very good, you know. They had some bad ones. Let's see here if I can find something on that. Let me go to the Wikipedia page here and do some of this here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Make sure my mic is still going here. Okay, we're still on. Okay, so yeah, history of Ukraine here. Yeah, so after World War II, they were still part of the Soviet Union, and then 91 or 89, I guess, is when it really happened, and it took a couple years to get everything sorted out. Anyway, they became their own country, independent Ukraine, and they had some leaders in here, but this guy in particular, oh shit, what happened here? This guy right here. Why is that doing that? That's kind of weird. All I'm doing is clicking. This guy, Kuchma, I think is how you pronounce his name, Kuchma. He, Leonid Kuchma. Let's see where he is. There he is. So he was one of the presidents here. I think he was the second one after they got independent. But he was corrupt as hell, and you know, corruption is like a disease, right? You know, and the Soviet Union fell because it got so corrupt. But when it fell, I mean, there's still the corruption, right? It's still there. You know, people may aspire to have, you know, integrity and all that, but there's still people. You know, there's still people who grew up under corruption. So anyway, this guy was corrupt as hell. And there was a big scandal called the cassette scandal, I think is what it's called, cassette scandal. It was somebody had recorded this guy, who was the president of Ukraine, ordering a journalist that he didn't like to be kidnapped. And the journalist was found dead, decapitated. And when it happened, they released the tape, made it public. And this guy was given orders to have the guy kidnapped on that tape. So that was obviously a big, you know, people didn't like that, you know. And so he was he didn't run for re-election again. That was Leonid Kuchma. And they had some other leaders, and then eventually they had, let's see. Oh, here it is. The orange. Yeah, this is what even though he didn't run for election, they still had this orange revolution, right? Which you've probably heard of. And the result, they had an election, and it was a corrupt election, and the people knew it, and they didn't like it, and they had a big protest, and then finally the Supreme Court said, okay, yeah, this election's no good, do it again. And this guy named Yushchenko won, okay, but he was still I skipped over some parts here. Didn't I? Skipped over the other guy. There's basically a struggle between politicians who were favorable towards Moscow and Russia and those who were favorable towards the West. And you know, the interesting thing about this whole thing, when the Soviet Union broke up, the U.S. sent tons, billions and billions of dollars of aid to Russia and the former Soviet states. And it was looking like, oh, we were going to have democracy all over the place, but Russia screwed up and went towards authoritarianism and messed it all up. And like, Ukraine didn't like that. Ukraine didn't want that. And this, they had these two victors. They both have the same name. This guy, Victor Yanukovych, I think is how you pronounce it, and Victor Yushchenko. Yushchenko, I think is how you pronounce it. They were both of them have the name Victor, and they were kind of like this. This guy here was for Russia, right? He was a puppet basically for Moscow. And this guy here wanted to have more closer ties to the West and Europe and stuff like that. And the people, of course, wanted to go for the West mostly. There were some ethnic Russians in the East that, may have wanted to continue with Russia, but the people wanted to go be part of the West and be part of Europe and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what they ended up doing, and that's what the Orange Revolution was about. And then, Yushchenko. And they had another election after that, and this woman here, Yulia Tymoshenko, what was her name? I don't know how you pronounce it. And this guy, both of these guys were for the East, or for the West, rather. But anyway, they ended up having problems with their election again, and these guys split the vote, and they it was like there was a spoiler election, one of those type of things. And this guy took over again. The guy who was for Russia, right? He got it again. And so he was in there and just corrupt as hell, just totally corrupt to the bone, And the people knew it, and it was actually worse than what the people thought, but they knew it. And then in 2014, meanwhile this guy is on Russia's side, right? He's talking to Putin all the time, and then Putin had in Sochi. They were supposed to have the Winter Olympics. They did have the Winter Olympics, and Russia put a ton of money into the Winter Olympics in 2014. They built, all kinds of stuff, and it was a big show, deal for Putin to show off Russia and how great Russia was, and blah, And he had great personal investment into seeing that the Winter Olympics showed Russia in a favorable light, and he put billions and billions of dollars into doing that. But then, right at the end of the game, or during the Olympic Games, they had that revolution. They took down Russia's puppet. Which guy was that? Let's see. I have that one. Yeah, this guy. They took him down. He fled to Russia. He took off. And after he took off, the people got into his, finally got access to his papers and all that, and his mansions and all this. And it was just very clear that he was just totally corrupt to the bone, And it was so they had this big revolution. The people took over, got rid of the Russian puppets, and they were going to do their thing. But that it severely embarrassed Putin, and I'm sure Obama was behind this too. I'm sure he had to give a green light to this whole thing at that time. But it was like I don't know. You compare something. It's like somebody going to graduation. They just graduated, have a big graduation ceremony, and having their girlfriend stand up and say, "Oh, he got me pregnant," and blah blah, blah or whatever. It's like somebody gets really has a really good moment for Putin, this was his big thing in the limelight. And then instead of having the good stuff, having good PR for Russia, they end up having this revolution in Ukraine. It just completely embarrassed him. And he reacted emotionally from that and had troops take over Crimea. That's that part of the, remember when I was showing you that? Let's see here. Yeah, this little part here. Maybe we can zoom this in a little bit. So the Olympics were happening in Sochi, in Russia, up here somewhere. I forget where Sochi is, but it's up here somewhere, a little bit north of Ukraine. And while Putin was getting all his, the world was looking at all how great Russia was and all this news. While that happened, then these people down here said, "Fuck you, Russia. We're kicking out your puppet." They kicked out his puppet, and Russia was just totally embarrassed. So Putin ordered the invasion of Crimea, this little part of Ukraine down here. This was in 2014, okay? And so Russia took over this area here. And so Russia is claiming this as their territory now, but nobody else in the world is. Maybe just a few of Russia's lackeys or whatever. But basically, Russia claims this territory, even though nobody else says it's Russia. So that happened in 2014. And that's when the real war started, the war between Russia and Ukraine. And at that time, Ukraine wasn't prepared to do anything about it. They couldn't really defend that, Russia coming in there. And it's kind of complicated too, because there's a port here. Russia had control of a port here in Crimea, which was important to them, having a warm water port over here. So they had control. I'm sure they had their spies throughout this whole thing anyway. So it wasn't that big of a deal. It was easy for Russia to take this over, and Ukraine couldn't stop them. But Ukraine still claims that territory, and most of the world still believes that's part of Ukraine. So anyway, that's what happened with that, and it was I think it was just an emotional reaction from Putin to do that, to invade Crimea in 2014. And then it's meanwhile, the Ukraine is continuing to develop closer and closer ties to Europe under their new leadership. And they also were put on a track to get into NATO. NATO had a thing, some partnership or something like, NATO has, there are the core members of NATO, and then they have all these different designations that they use for countries that want to lean towards NATO or get on a track to get into NATO or whatever. And Ukraine was on it. I forget which one they were. They were called partner or something, associate member, whatever. They were getting close to NATO. NATO was putting a lot of effort into training the Ukrainian army and stuff. And so, so in this time, NATO is getting Ukraine trained and more and more equipment and stuff like that. Well, they had a pretty good capability to build their own arms stuff, but NATO was training them, giving them good intel and everything else, So finally, the Soviet Union, the Russia, then Putin didn't like that because Putin, when the Soviets, Putin goes way back to the Soviet Union. He was a spy during the Soviet Union, so his mentality is very much Soviet Union. That's what he was thinking. So when the Soviet Union fell, I'm sure he was really upset about that. And his goal, he hasn't stated it directly. It was pretty clear what his goal is. He wants to try to put the Soviet Union back together. That's just his thinking. He's thinking in the past, you know. Whoops. What happened? Uh-oh. Shit. I lost my thing. There we go. So anyway, so that's what Putin was trying to do. He was trying to put the Soviet Union back together, basically, what he was trying to do. And so he finally got upset again that Ukraine was, you know, first of all, he lost his puppet in Ukraine. And then after that, then Ukraine kept going closer and closer and closer to Europe. And so Putin's still thinking in Cold War mentality that it's Russia against Europe or whatever, you know, or Russia against the U.S. or something. And so that's what he did. And you know, he could have, you know, back in 1991 is when the Soviet Union broke up, and Russia was going towards the West and had good relations with the U.S. and all that after that. But when Putin got in there, he just brought it back to being enemies with the U.S. You know, ever since I don't know when he got in there, but I forget. But he's wanted to be enemies with the U.S. again, and Russia has been since pretty much the beginning of the 21st century on. Russia has been an enemy of the U.S. then. So anyway, he didn't like that Ukraine was doing that, and he just said, well, I'm going to invade them. And he took all his troops and put them on the border here, and it was a big, long process. You know, it took weeks and weeks and weeks. He put a bunch of troops and built them up on the side here, and I think he was trying to influence an election or something first, or I can't remember what the details were now. It was a long time ago, but and the world was trying to wonder, oh, is he going to invade or not? And President Biden was president at the time, and this gets even worse. When Biden was vice president, maybe one of you senator, his son, he got his son appointed on the board of directors of a company in Ukraine, a gas company in Ukraine. So Biden had all these back deals with companies in Ukraine and stuff, and you know, he was corrupt as hell too. I mean, ever since Obama, right? Everybody's been corrupt. So, yeah, Obama is probably the only president we've had in a long time that was not corrupt. Now that I think of it. Bush 41 was, you know, he I don't know if he was corrupt. Yeah, he was. He was in with the oil companies too. So, but Obama was probably the only president we had in a long time that it was not, you know, corrupt in that way, you know, to enrich himself illegally. Anyway, so there's all those ties, right? Anyway, so Russia lines up their troops here, and Biden said, "Oh, you better not do that. If you do that, we'll slap your wrist." You know, he basically gave Russia a green light. You know, in terms of international politics, that's I'm sure that's how Russia took it. Was that Biden was just, you know, hey, we're not going to, you know, the consequences are not going to be a big deal. So basically, the U.S. kind of encouraged Russia to invade in there because they knew it was a tar pit. You know, they knew that Russia would be stuck in there, just like the U.S. got stuck in Vietnam and everything else. You know, they knew that it would be a big pain in the butt for Russia to do that. And when Russia invaded, it was basically Ukraine on their own defending them. You know, in fact, it's been the Ukrainian troops only. And everybody, when they invaded, everybody said, "Oh, here's big Russia, powerful Russia. this is going to take a matter of days. They'd be in there, and they'd be in Kiev, and they'd have they'd have Ukraine in a week or two. I mean, it was like they thought Russia was just going to roll over the Ukrainians. And it turned out it didn't happen that way. They tried to invade, and they didn't even hardly get anywhere. And the Ukrainians just crushed them, the invasion. I mean, and did really well. And they took out one of their huge ships. I mean, it was, Ukrainians just did really well, partly because of the training they had gotten from NATO and stuff. So the Ukrainians did really well, and everybody was all happy because this is a democracy, right? Ukraine's been a democracy. They had come from a very corrupt history, and were moving more and more and more towards democracy. And they had, a cleaner democracy. They were democracy on paper for sure. They were having elections, and the elections weren't being influenced by Russia. They still had corruption, because that was just a legacy thing, But everybody was upset that Russia, which was by then an authoritarian state, was going in to take over Ukraine, which was a democracy. And they didn't. So the rest of the world wanted to defend Ukraine, and they did. And pretty much all the rest of the world, except for Russia, is on the side of Ukraine. And so we took, after Russia invaded, and it was clear that Ukraine was able to defend themselves pretty well, then the U.S. and Europe and stuff decided they would, help Ukraine with sending arms and stuff like that. And so by this time, this was, let's see here. Who was in? I forget when that was it. Anyway, so we've been sending billions of dollars of aid, right? And other countries have been sending billions of dollars of aid. You probably hear about that, right? And talking about which types of hardware we're going to send to Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. And you finally started giving them jets, F-16s or something. So they're getting a bunch of help from us. But when early on, when Trump became president the first time, he impeded the aid. Congress kept voting to send stuff to Ukraine to help them. And when Trump got in the first time, he fucked up that aid. He slow-walked the aid and impeded it getting to Ukraine, which really affected them being able to fight Russia during his first term. And everybody was all upset with him about doing that, And so now we come to today. This morning, I saw the coverage of this. It's the Ukrainian President Zelensky met with Trump in the White House, and instead of saying, "Yeah, we're gonna continue to support Ukraine because they're a democracy and Russia doesn't, illegally invaded them, so we can't allow that. You have to keep international order. If one country, just invades another country, you can't just let them take the other country, because then it just cause chaos all over the place, right? So we can't have that. And because other countries, then if everybody just said, "Oh, okay, that's no problem," they invaded, they get that country, then all over the world, bigger countries would invade smaller countries all over the place. We just have war all over the place, a world war, most likely. So that's a big, it's not just supporting a democracy, supporting a country that wants to move towards the West. It's also deterring aggression by countries that want to change their borders and acquire other countries by force like that. You can't have that in modern international relations. It just doesn't. We don't do that anymore. That's like 100 years ago they did that. They don't do that anymore. So that was the other reason, right? The main reason is to deter Russia from doing that. And they did sanctions. They did a bunch of stuff, and basically, the strategy or the tactic here was that the U.S. wanted Russia to get in there and get tied into that tar pit there, and just drag them out, just through attrition, just drain Russia as much as possible. And I mean, we could have stopped. We could have defeated Russia instantly. I mean, very early in the war, if we would have gotten tough on it, and we could have stopped that almost immediately. We could have stopped Russia and sent them home with their tail between their legs easily. We could have done that when they first invaded, but that wasn't the strategy. The strategy was to tie up Russia as much as possible in Ukraine in that war, and drag it out and get them stuck there. And that's what they are. They're stuck in Ukraine now. And the other part of it, there's the geopolitical part of it. Then there's the arms sales. The military industry likes war. They like to see war, and they like to see wars that drag on for a long time because they sell more hardware that way. And they have great influence over international relations. So that's another player that's pushing for keeping that war going. And then there's the fossil fuel industry. There's a lot of gas here in Ukraine that could go to Europe. And while they're fighting stuff, that interrupts that and prevents development and all that. They took a nuclear reactor offline. I mean, it was, the whole energy sector the market gets tighter because of that when they're fighting in there. So the people who have interest in the gas industry, the fossil fuel companies, who are now shipping LNG in ships to Europe because they got cut off from Russia and Ukraine, now are making a ton of money. That's why your electric bill is so high right now. Your electric bill has been going up. That's why. This is part of it. Is because of because this war that's going on in Ukraine is impeding shipment of gas to Europe, which means that people in the companies in the U.S. take U.S. gas and put it on ships and send it over to Europe. And they make a ton of money, but it causes the price of gas to go way up. So anywhere they can prevent gas from coming online or take gas that is online off the market, that makes the price go up higher and they make more money. Same thing happened in over here in the Gaza Strip. Right here. You probably hear about that, right? What was going on there is because this is kind of related. It actually is kind of related to this. About 3 or 4 months before Gaza, Hamas attacked Israel, the Palestinians got an okay to develop an oil field or a gas field out here called the Gaza Marine gas field. And they got the okay to develop that. And if they would have brought that, it wasn't a big gas field. It's not a lot of gas, but it's enough that if they put it online and they have proximity here, they can go send it through Egypt and into through pipelines to Europe. It would lower the price of gas if they brought it online. And so that's that whole war, that whole thing that's going on in Gaza. That's the main. There are lots of reasons for it, but that's one of the main reasons for it. is because they wanted to stop production of the Gazaprom gas field. And same thing over here in Ukraine. You know, they got a bunch of gas that they could be sending to Europe. And so that's kind of the background. That's kind of the background of what's going on. But everybody is on Ukraine's side. Everybody except that asshole who's occupying the Oval Office right now. And when I saw that this morning, I don't know if you've seen the thing, and you can look it up. what he said, but not only was he, you know, disrespectful to an ally, somebody on our side, right? The Ukrainians, Congress, the people have said, we want to support Ukraine. The whole world has said, we want to support Ukraine. We want to defeat Russia. We want to preserve this democracy, you know? That's what we want. And that asshole in the Oval Office was totally disrespectful to the president of Ukraine and was like shaking him down. Or I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was thinking. But he was just totally mean to Ukraine. And I mean, you know, Trump owns Ukraine now, right? He owns it. It's his thing. If we lose that war, Trump lost that war, okay? Because he fucked it up at the very beginning when the U.S. was first trying to send aid in there. And now if Ukraine falls to Russia, that's on Trump. You know, that'll make Biden's bungle in Afghanistan look like a freaking typo on a memo or something as a mistake, you know, compared to this. After we sent billions and billions of dollars, and the whole world has an interest in seeing that Ukraine defeat this, you know, prevail against Russia in this war. If Trump screws that up, you know, he's not going to finish his term, you know. That's it. He's done. So, I mean, I've never seen a U.S. president, who looked so weak and so afraid during that confrontation with Zelensky. It was very clear that he knew that if Ukraine fails on this thing, Trump is sunk. He's done, you know. And Zelensky knew it too, you know, but he was trying to be, you know, respectful or whatever, but Trump wasn't. So that's what's going on there. And then you look at the reaction, world reaction. I was looking on let's see if I can bring this up here. Here's what Reuters was quoting some of these world leaders, how the world leaders were reacting to what happened there between Zelensky and Trump. Well, Zelensky, of course, he was just trying to be respectful, right, and saying thank you for your help or whatever, for the meeting, whatever. But other leaders were more blunt. You know, here's Justin Trudeau, right, in Canada. He says Russia illegally and justifiably invaded Ukraine. Ukrainians have fought, you know, with courage and resilience. So he's saying we're fighting for democracy, freedom, sovereignty. You know, that's what matters. And Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine. Right? So basically, it's just, you know, the whole world now is against Trump. You know, and I think they know it's not the U.S. The people are not there, and half the Republicans are against Trump now on this. So he's not going to finish out his term. I don't see how he can finish out his term. Germany. Everyone wants peace, right? Let's see. Okay, that was kind of a muffled thing. France was pretty direct. He says Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine is the aggressed people. I think we're all right to help Ukraine and sanction Russia 3 years ago and to continue to do so. Here's the Russian president who has to come out and say that the United States and the Europeans and the Canadians and Japan support Ukraine. Imagine that. Okay, here's Trump saying he's giving Ukraine the middle finger. Then the French president comes out, Macron, and says the United States supports Ukraine. Because, all right, so this is just Italy. Every division of the West makes us weaker and favors those who would like to see the decline of our civilization. Right? I mean, everybody, all the leaders are out against him. And I don't think Trump has a friend at all right now. Let's see. Okay, that's Britain. He just sent somebody out. Australia. We will continue to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes, because this is a struggle of a democratic nation versus an authoritarian regime led by Putin, who clearly has imperialistic designs, not just on Ukraine, but throughout that region. There's another Canadian politician, Denmark. Let's see, former. Okay. Well, yeah, Russia. Russia's foreign minister, of course, is going to be on Russia's side, right? That's the European Commission president. Okay. Okay, he's just going to say something political. Moldova. Moldova is this. Let me show you that where that is on the map. Moldova is right here. That's Moldova. So they're right next to Ukraine. And it was kind of question mark which side they were going to take, actually, for a while there, I think, if I remember correctly. But now they're firmly on the side of Ukraine, you know. And it just goes on and on and on. I mean, everybody's just. Look at this. Now this is. It doesn't get any more. I mean, normally when leaders talk to each other, they're, you know, especially our allies, they're very, you know, things are couched in diplomatic language and they're not very blunt. You know, they're very, you know, tiptoey around stuff. Okay, here's the guy from Norway, Prime Minister of Norway. He says, what we saw from the White House today is serious and disheartening. Ukraine still needs the U.S.'s support, and Ukraine's security and future are also important to the U.S. and to Europe. President Zelensky has strong support in Ukraine, right, among his people, of course, broad support in Europe, and he has led his people through a very demanding and brutal time under attack from Russia. That Trump accuses Zelensky of gambling with World War III, and he did say that, Trump brought that up, is deeply unreasonable and a statement I distance myself from. Norway stands with Ukraine in their struggle for freedom. And we hope that the Trump administration understands the importance of a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. Okay, so it's just you know, he said a lot of stupid things, you know, but this is like, after all that Ukraine has gone, not just in this war, but in history, what Ukraine has been through, and struggle, and finally they get a democracy and, you know, start getting it together, you know. So I had to come say that. We had a little bit of sunshine today, so it warmed up this area here so I could do a quick stream here and talk about that. But I wanted to explain to people why that's just such a screw up. I just, it's very very bad. So I wanted to explain that, and as I said, I don't think he's going to finish out the term. I think he's just going to implode. So I don't know how it'll end, but we'll see. So yeah, wanted to explain that a little bit, get that out there. One of these days, I'll do a stream for a kind of, I'll talk about the whole thing, what's going on, internationally, and and just society's ills, what all the different things that have led up to it. It's pretty complicated, so I'm gonna have to think about it and sort it out. I mean, I know what it is, but put it into some sort of cohesive presentation, and explain all the different elements that are coming together and why it's causing disruption, and why there's so much pain right now, from everybody. Why the world is unsettled right now. A lot of stuff happening that all are converging and coming together to make it a big problem. And to have somebody like that asshole in the White House right now, when we need somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, to keep us from, like, the whole, having civilization collapse, which is what's going to happen here. It's because we just got fools running things. So at some point we're going to get to. I think revolution is inevitable in the U.S. We're going to have a revolution. I support a revolution in the U.S. Peaceful, nonviolent revolution. We had a revolution in the 1960s. That's another one that I'll do. Maybe I'll do a stream on the 1960s. What happened? We had a revolution in the 1960s, which kind of was like it was late 50s to early 70s kind of period, right? About 20 years there. And that, I don't know, a lot of young people probably don't even know that we had a revolution in the U.S. and we got the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act. We got the Environmental Protection Agency was set up. We got our first environmental stuff. We finally started caring about the earth. We changed the Constitution in the U.S. We got rid of a corrupt president. We ended a terrible war. A lot of good stuff came out of the revolution. And by the way, we went to the moon. That's while that was going on. So yeah, U.S. can do stuff if we have leaders that actually know what the fuck they're doing. So all right. So that's what I wanted to talk about. It's still 15 degrees in here. Let me unwind a little bit. Let me go. See if I can do that. Let me close this out here. I haven't played the geography game yet. This would be a good time for me to play the geography game, I guess. Let's see, can I close that? Should I close that? Yeah, I can close that. Let me play. I haven't played the geography game in a long time. I'll probably miss a lot of them. But, do I still? Yeah, okay. Let me bring that up here. There we go. All right, this will let me unwind a little bit here. I'll play the geography game. I don't know if this makes noise or not. Let me look at the map here just to see what we got. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, Moldova, Belarus. So. Let's see if I can. I'm going to look over the map here really quick and just to make sure. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, these little ones here. These are always hard to get. Let me memorize these really quick. Okay. And these items out here are another one that are always hard. Where are they here? I don't know. All right, let me see if I can do this here. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of them, but we'll try it here. Okay, Estonia. Okay, they give me an easy one first. Okay, Estonia's up there. Barbudos. That's that one. India. Slovenia. Spain. Togo. Uganda. Damn. I got it, okay. San Marino. Finland. France. Poland. North Macedonia. Serbia. Belarus. We were just talking about that one, right? Kenya. East Timor. Sierra Leone. Liberia. I think that's Liberia. Laos. Okay, let's see. Vietnam. Cambodia. Thailand. Laos. I think that's Laos. Brazil. Djibouti. Algeria. Tunisia. Azerbaijan. Which is which here? I think this one's Albanian. That's Azerbaijan. Okay, yeah. Vanuatu. That's one of these guys over here. Oh, it didn't let me do the whole thing. Okay, whatever. All right, well, I played a game. Oh, you know what? Let me do this again. I'll type in. I put about Korean here. Let me type game. What's the name of it? All right, this is going to take me a second here. I don't want to switch the title and everything of this thing, but I don't know how to do that without going on the computer here and doing a bunch of stuff. So sorry, this will just take a second here. All right, let me see if I can type this in here. Isn't there a geography game here? Educational game? There's GeoGuessr, but I thought there was like a like a geography, just generic geography game of some sort. Hmm. I search for geography and it doesn't give me anything here. All right, let me just try type it in and see if that works. See if that works. Category was set to world geography. Oh, there it is. Okay, it changed it. Okay, that changed it. All right. All right, I'll play it again since I changed the category now. I guess that's making it official here. All right, so we'll try this again. All right. Oh shit, I got it. Let me go back. No, that's not what we want to do. All right. Options. All right, so we want to do all the countries, not just 25 countries. All right. Here we go. So it's about 12 after, 13 after 3. So let's see how long it takes me to do all of them. All right. Oh, I don't want that echo in there. All right, Laos. Just did that one, right? Right here. North Macedonia. Let's see here. Cyprus. Nauru, that's one of these islands out here. What's that one? Singapore. Singapore. Myanmar. What's this one? Lebanon. Is that one there? Bulgaria. What's this one here? Solomon Islands. They're over here too, I think. Now let's think this through here. I think it's these. Yep. Finland. Burkina Faso. Bahamas. Jordan. Mexico. Uganda. I just did this one, didn't I? Germany. Togo. It's giving me a lot of the same ones that it had before. Austria. Let's see. There's Italy. That's Austria. Oman. Oman. Let's see, this is Yemen. That's Oman. Panama. South Korea. Monaco. Monaco. Huh. How come I don't know this one? I'm blanking on this one. I think this happened to me before. I blanked on Monaco before. Okay, got it. All right, Iran, Guinea-Bissau. Okay. UAE. This one or this one? Shoot. Cuba. Sudan. Thailand. Armenia. Zimbabwe. I think this is Zambia. I think this is Zimbabwe. Damn. I'm getting them right. I don't know why. All right. Mongolia. El Salvador. Lithuania. Ghana. Bangladesh. Ireland. Sri Lanka. Montenegro. Bosnia-Herzegovina, right next to it. We're doing that. Croatia. This is weird. They got them all in a row here. They're giving them to me. Angola. I wish I could come back to this one. I can skip, but once I skip it, it doesn't let me come back to it. taking too long here. It's either this one or this one. I always get these two mixed up. It's a dyslexia thing. You know, I just Namibia. Use this one. Okay. Tajikistan. Incorrect. What do you mean incorrect? All right, I went too fast here. Let's see. India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Yep, Tajikistan. So I missed Tajikistan. That's kind of screwed. All right, Belarus, Philippines. Slovakia. Slovenia and Slovakia. Brazil. Never get those mixed up. North Korea. Lesotho. That's Lesotho. Morocco. Syria. Costa Rica. Iraq. Antigua and Barbuda. Denmark. Venezuela. Kenya. Norway. Afghanistan. Hungary. Let's see, Bulgaria, Austria, Hungary, Vanuatu. Republic of the Congo. Georgia. A lot of stuff going on down there, isn't it? Congo. Let's see, Georgia. Indonesia. Japan. South Sudan. Spain. Egypt. Barbados. Dominica. Oh shit, I hit Dominican Republic instead of Dominica. D. Oh, now I'm really screwed up. God, I missed it 3 times. 2. 1, 2. Yeah, it took me 3 times to get Dominica. So I've got 3 mistakes already. Let's see, San Marino. Zambia. Now come on, that's Zambia, isn't it? What is that then? Zimbabwe, what is that one? Oh, Botswana. D, okay. Brunei. Uruguay. Estonia. Kyrgyzstan. Let's see here. That's probably Kyrgyzstan, isn't it? Got all these Stan countries here. This is Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. I'm pretty sure this is Kyrgyzstan. Nope. Not gonna let me get away so easy. Turkmenistan. I'm pretty sure this is Turkmenistan, and this is Uzbekistan. That's got to be Kyrgyzstan. Okay. Missed that one. So that's 4 mistakes I've made so far. Not too good. Guinea. Swatini. Belgium. Belgium. Probably one of these in here. Samoa. South Africa. Pretty sure that's South Africa. Why would really? Why didn't that take that? That's kind of weird. I guess I went too fast. India, Guyana. Guyana. Let's see. I think that's Suriname and Guyana. Mauritius. No, that one. Ivory Coast. Azerbaijan. Qatar. Nobody knows how to pronounce it. They called it gutter for a long time. Let's see here. I think it's this one. I forget what the little one is. Let's see. Okay, that's right. Liberia. Tonga. Tonga, it's over here, I think. No. Yep. Fiji. Is Fiji over here somewhere? Where's Fiji? Is that Fiji? No. Where's Fiji at? Is that Fiji? Yep. Netherlands. Kazakhstan. Okay, that's Kazakhstan. Okay. All right. Ecuador. Trinidad and Tobago. Gambia. Suriname. Pakistan. Mali. Equatorial Guinea. St. Kitts and Nevis. Guatemala. Yeah. Taiwan. Senegal. Mauritania. Here's this one. Ethiopia. Poland. Switzerland. Argentina. Ukraine. Where's that one? Tunisia. UK. Mozambique. East Timor, Yemen, Serbia, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Nicaragua. How did I get those mixed up? That's pretty stupid. All right. Grenada. So I've missed 5 of them. That's really bad, man. Central African Republic, Slovenia, Chile, Albania, that's Albania, Comoros, Tuvalu.tv, Russia, I don't know what that is. Where's that one? Sweden, Bolivia, did I not get that? Did I hit the wrong one? That's Bolivia. Why is it not going? I guess I just go too fast. I don't know. It should reset sooner than that. Kuwait, Dominican Republic this time. Not Dominica. Dominican Republic. Botswana. Somalia. Malawi. Australia. Eritrea. Vatican City. Honduras. Turkmenistan. Tanzania. That's another one. There's going to be wars now here because of an oil pipeline there in Venom. Chad. Maybe it's already on. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. Maybe a Chad. China. That's pretty easy to find. Moldova. We're just talking about that. Niger. Let's see. Nigeria. Libya. Egypt. Libya. Madagascar. Canada. France. Rwanda. Let's see. That's it. Damn. Okay. Kosovo. Belize. Italy. Maldives. I think it's pronounced differently too. I'm not sure. Cameroon. Haiti. Jamaica. Liechtenstein. Marshall Islands. Nepal, Cambodia, Malaysia, Namibia. Did I go too fast again? I know that's Namibia. All right, Burundi, Peru, Sierra Leone, Bahrain. That's the little one over here. Yeah, okay, it doesn't want to. Right, it's laid up. Click. St. Lucia or Santa Lucia, depending upon who you are. Let's see. Malta, Paraguay, Israel, Andorra, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Colombia, Palestine, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So one left here. Turkey, Uzbekistan, Vietnam, Kiribati, Cape Verde, Romania, Luxembourg, Algeria, that was the other one, Portugal, Czechia, Micronesia, Bhutan, Seychelles, Sao Tome and Principe, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Papua New Guinea. There we go. Missed 5 of them, I think. 6. No, wait, yeah. Is that right? Yeah. 197 countries. I got all the countries, but it took me 7 extra clicks. I don't remember 7. I thought I only did 5. So I missed 5 of them. I mean, I made 5 mistakes, or 7 mistakes, it says. Damn, that's not good. All right, it's been a long time. All right, so I guess that's it. All right, I appreciate everybody for coming out. I had to talk about Ukraine since that was just that event. I think that's it. You know, I'm pretty sure that's it. You know, I don't know. It's if he's screwing up that bad right now. I mean, as I said, he's not gonna finish up the term. Everybody, make sure you wear your. Be prepared. Be prepared, everybody. Make sure that you wear your N95 mask all the time whenever you're in public. I was out there walking around near the street where all the cars were, and I wore my mask, and somebody said, "Why are you wearing your mask outside?" You know, you should wear it anytime you're around other people. It doesn't matter if you're inside, outside, you know, in a car, riding a car, anywhere. Anytime you're around other people, you got to wear your N95 mask. And it has to say, and yeah, people not only be prepared for your mask, but you know, things are kind of unsettled right now. So make sure you have plenty of food and water in your house and stuff like that, and have backups for, you know, flashlights, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're prepared for that kind of stuff. So it's N95, It's got to say N95 on it. Has to say NIOSH, NIOSH. It has to have straps that go all the way around the back of your head. Those little masks that have just ear loops that go around your ear, those aren't N95s, and those might not work as well as an N95. And when you wear it, make sure it makes a tight seal to your face all the way around, so there's no leaks anywhere. And the reason you got to wear your mask in public is because we're in the middle of a pandemic. You haven't heard it from a lot of people lately, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. More than 100 people die from COVID-19 every day. So, plus the flu, so it's probably a couple hundred now that are dying because they're not wearing their mask, their 95 now, every day. And even if you think that you could survive COVID-19, maybe you think you're young, maybe you think you could survive it, but what about people like me, you know? There are older people like me who don't wear their mask because they're too stupid or senile or, you know, ignorant or whatever. You know, if you wear your mask, then maybe you'll save a life that way. You won't kill an old person. You don't want to kill an old person, do you? I'm an old person. I don't want to die. All right. Everybody take care. I appreciate you stopping by. Now we can look at some squirrels. Bye.